In this video, I'm going to show you how to put together the air skimmer. We are going to go from cutting it out to actually building it and taping it together, so that by the time you're done with this video, you will be able to fly your air skimmer and test it out in the classroom. Alright? For this video, you're going to want tape. You're going to want your already measured out and drawn air skimmer on the tag board. You're going to want scissors, and then an optional thing is to have this ruler. And I'll explain that, why you'll have that in a minute. First thing you need to do is just cut on all the solid lines. So I'm going to cut out my pieces first. So I'll start with my air scoop, and you're just cutting out on the solid lines. There's my air scoop. Then I've got my two fins. And then go ahead and cut them apart. So you cut on that line right in the middle, so that you have two of them. And then we'll do our main body. So cut along the outside edge here. Remember, we measured along the edge here so that we wouldn't have to worry about having a straight line or not. So you just have this side over here. Cut along here. And then at the very end we have two solid lines that we want to they're just going to be slits. So we're not cutting anything off, we're not cutting anything out, we're just cutting a 3-inch slit. On both of them. And so now you have two little flaps there, okay? Alright, so now what I like to do, and the reason I use a ruler, is I like to score along the dotted line. Scoring means I'm going to open my scissors all the way, and I'm just going to lightly draw a line with my scissors along that dotted line. Draw it a little bit hard, but not too hard to go through the whole paper. You just want to put a little groove into it that'll help you fold it. So I'm going to use my ruler. So I'm going to line my ruler up on my dotted line there. And then I'm just going to take my scissors, pushing a little bit, and draw or cut a little groove in there. And you'll be able to feel the groove with your finger when you go over it. Alright, so I'm going to do that on all the dotted lines to help me when I go to fold them. It makes my folds straighter, and it makes my folds more exact. Alright, so there's that one's scored. And then I'm going to do this one here. Not the outside pieces, just the inside part where the dotted line is. Alright, you don't want to be able to fold these outside lines, these outside sections. Alright, I think I need to go a little bit darker on, a little bit deeper on that one. It's not quite feeling it. Alright, so that's better. And then I have to take my air scoop and do the same thing, because there's dotted lines on there. And that'll really help with the air scoop because there's such tiny folds normally. Alright, so there's one. I'm going to turn it over so that I have more under my ruler for the other one. Line it up with the dotted lines. Take my scissors and push kind of hard. It's going to be pretty hard to cut through the tag board with these scissors. So you can press fairly hard, enough to get a little groove there. And then I'm just going to, with my air scoop, I'm going to fold these down. Alright, just along that groove that I just made. Alright, so it's kind of diagonal tilted right here. And then do it to the other side as well. It makes it much easier if you've scored them. Put little lines in them with the scissors. Alright, so there's my air scoop, it's ready to go. I'm going to set it off to the side. That's the last thing we put on our air skimmer. Then I'm going to take my main body panel. I'm going to fold down along these lines here. So I'm going to fold down, and if I've done my score lines correctly, it should be very easy. And it should be relatively straight. Okay, so there, it's folded. It's straight right now. Alright, so here it is from the edge. Okay, and then I'm going to do the other side as well. So I'm going to fold this one. Okay, now I'm going to pull the camera up a little so that you can see the whole thing. Alright, so what you're going to do with this one is you're going to fold it. You've got it resting so that the side pieces are facing down. Okay, so you're going to face it like this. And you're going to fold this piece down as well. So I'm going to fold it in half like that. So you got something like this. And then I'm going to undo it. I'm going to open it back up. Alright? And so I folded everything I need to fold. Alright? So next, we want to start taping. So you're going to need your tape. And I like to have a couple pieces ready to go so that I don't have to worry about holding it and cutting tape at the same time. So I'm just going to get a couple of pieces, small, don't have to be very big, alright, and put them on the edge of my table so that they're ready to go. You can't see the edge of my table, but they're there. Alright, you'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 pieces. 2, 4, 5, 6, and you can always tear more later if you need it, so it's not the end of the world. Alright, not too big of pieces, so around, 2 or 3 inches or so. You don't have to be exact. Okay, and so then with this main body, first thing I'm going to do, since this back flap is already pointing down, that's where I want it to be. I want it to go from up here, angled all the way down to the ground. Okay, and so I am going to tape it so that it's attached to these flaps just like this. Alright, and so the way to get to tape that, I've had a lot of kids who have trouble taping it. I like to put tape hanging off the edge of this flap down here. Okay, so it's kind of hanging off the edge, and then I fold it back. Alright, I fold it right there. Then I place the flap where I want it to go, and I let the tape go, and I push it up against that flap. That's how I tape those ones. Okay, any extra can get folded over. It's important though that you don't have holes in the bottom here because you don't want air to get through it. Okay, so there's the first one. I'll do it again on the second one. So it's tilted down, so it goes down towards the floor. You're flat for most of the air skimmer until you get to the back, and then it slopes downward. But it should not go, you don't want it to go past this outside flap because then it's going to be dragging on the floor. Alright, so I'm going to do this other one. Grab another piece of tape. I'm going to set it on this edge right here. Hang it off a little bit more. Okay. Then I'm going to fold the tape back. I'm going to set my flap where it should go so that it's tilted downwards, so that my main section is tilted downwards. Alright, and then I'm going to let the tape go, push it against the flap. Alright, making sure I don't have any air holes, making sure it's not dragging along the ground, adjusting it if it is. Alright, and so there's the first step. You may want to, like right here I have some little holes where the tape's not going. I would test it, and if you're not getting success, that's one of the first things I do is tape this little part here and tape the end right here. You may even want to go to the bottom of it. Alright, so I flipped it over and taped down here for extra support as well. I'm not going to do that today, but that's one modification you could make if you're not succeeding when you test it. Alright, so there's the main body. So now let's go ahead and we're going to add the fins. Okay? And the fins, alright, let me turn it around. Alright, this is the back, right here. So the fin needs to face, I have to think about this. They want to face the long end to the back. Alright? Not like this, but like this, with the long end facing the back. All right, and if we've measured correctly, that little gap thing should be just the size of these side parts of our main body. And mine is. All right, it's hard to see, but it is. It should also come to where that dotted line, where it starts to angle downward. All right, there's a reason for everything. So we're going to tape this. All right, I like to tape it on the bottom and the top, so actually I needed more tape. But so I set it on the flap, put the flap where it needs to go, and then fold the tape over the bottom. Make sure your tape, when you tape on the bottom, is very flat, because if it's not flat, it's going to drag along the ground, and you're going to have problems. You want a straight line all the way down. Okay? Then I'm going to tape it inside here as well so that it doesn't go anywhere. A couple extra little pieces here that I'll use just to make sure that that is secure. And it's not going to fold out. It's firmly attached to that flap. Alright, and so now I need to do the other one. Alright, so I'm going to grab it and turn it over here. I'm going to line it up to where it needs to be. Grab some tape. And I'm going to attach it to my main body, making sure that the bottom is flat. Then I'll go ahead and attach the skimmer on top as well. Some extra little pieces that I just had. Ooh, let's get some new tape. Alright. A little bit more. Just to make sure that it's attached. Alright, and so there, I should be good, although I think I'm going to add a little bit more, and I'll show you where. Right over here, there's a little bit of gap here, and I don't want that gap. Now I'm going to make sure I don't tape it on the bottom, so it doesn't have to be a huge piece of tape, but just to secure it to the side, right there. Okay, and do the same thing over here. It's not quite straight on the bottom, so I may have trouble flying this one. Right here I got a little bit of a lip, so that can cause some problems. So be careful when you're putting those things on. Alright, shouldn't cause too many problems, but it might. Alright, so next is the air scoop, and this is the hardest part. Okay, is knowing where to put this. Alright, and so if you tilt it to the side and you see the long end is back here and the short end is down here, I'm going to tilt it upside down so that it's facing up, okay? And then short end is going to go towards the front of my main body. So this is the short end right here. This side's my short end. It's going to go in here, inside the very front. Alright? So that it creates a little bit of space right there. And if we've measured correctly, it should touch the edges of my main body. Okay? And so I'm going to tape that in place, but do not block off the holes in the front or the back. You want those holes because that's where the air goes in, it gets broken up, and then it starts swirling, and that's how it lifts it up. Alright, so I am going to, I just tape the edges. Alright, so put it in place, make sure it's not hanging off anywhere or hanging out. I'm going to put some tape over here, and then make sure it gets attached to the side. Alright, so there's one. And then I have to touch the other side as well. So I'll grab my last piece of tape over here and attach it to that side as well. Alright, I folded it on the, if it fell off the edge, I just folded it back. Alright, and so now I need to make sure that I got a flat edge right here. And now my air skimmer is done. Alright, and so you will have to make sure that you once you're done with this, you can test it out. If you've paid attention, Miss Middlecamp, I have told you that you first need to try it in the classroom. I have 2 rubber bands set up in the classroom for you to launch it on. I've shown you how to launch it. And so your goal when you launch it is to get it to the wall. If it hits the wall, then you can try it out in the hallway and see what's the farthest you can fly it in the hallway. Alright? And I've got a tape set out in the hallway that shows you how far I got. So you'll have to see how far you got, for how far you can get. But first you have to test it out in the classroom. Feel free to make some modifications on it. If you think you know how to make it go faster, you can go ahead, test it first just like this, and then see how far it goes, and then see what changes need to be made to it. Most of the time, changes that need to be made have to do with this straight line right here, and how straight it is. So just be aware of that. The other thing you can try, and I've seen kids have success, is if I put paper clips here, not blocking the hole, but putting paper clips on the top layer here, it weighs down the end so that the back can raise up higher and it tends to go farther. So sometimes it just makes up for the fact that the bottom's not straight, but sometimes it can help it fly further. Mine actually flies further without it, so to each their own. So that is the end of this video.